Well, thank you for joining. I'm just going to bring up the slides for today. Oh, there we go. So this is our third week of training, and as Bev pointed out, there was a little mistake on the Zoom invites. I anticipated the first Reiki course to take about 4 weeks, and we've actually gone through it much quicker than I was expecting. So you might have a lap over. Some of you might have an invite for Reiki Master. So that is the combined second degree and master course that runs on from here, and that's a course of 6 weeks. So that starts next week. I just wanted to let you know that. So week 3's training, we're going to look at some animal Reiki. I've got Phoebe here with us, ready to go. She was very excited about coming out tonight. We're going to look at different uses for Reiki. We're going to look at group healing as well, and the impact of group healing, and also treating others. So that's what we're going to cover today. So I did say that we would do some animal Reiki, because last week we kind of ran out of time. It wasn't really scheduled, but I just thought it'd be nice for you to actually see a little bit of animal Reiki. Now, your first degree actually allows you to work with animals that are hands-on. But if you're wanting to work on an emotional level with animals, or do distance healing, so you might have animals that are quite scared and you want to be in their area but not actually touching them, or you may experience a bird that you see out and about that's maybe lame or having problems with wings or whatever, any type of injury, you might want to send them Reiki, but obviously you're not going to be able to get close to a wild bird. So there's a few different advantages to having the second degree when it comes to animals, but there's nothing to stop you from placing your hands on the animals, calling Reiki in, and actually working with them. So I'm going to get Phoebe. Peeps, come on.
Somebody's little jingly bell going as well.
We've got Mr. Moo the cat upstairs as well. He might want to join us. So this is Phoebe. I think everybody knows Phoebe, don't they?
Yeah.
I've heard Phoebe a lot in the background. I've never actually met her.
Have you never met her?
No.
Oh, this is little Phoebe. She's nicknamed Princess Wee Wee. Very small. So she's my Jack Russell, and she's had, as you can see, she's got trauma to her eye. She had an accident, so it's at that point I was doing a lot of Reiki on her, and also I attuned her to being a master as well. So she actually works with me. So quite often when I'm working with clients, she'll be in the room with me, and she scratches at my leg. That's her little indication. So if there's any imbalance in a heart chakra, I know, because she nudges me. Before I even put my hands on the client, she's already there kind of scratching at me to go on the clients. And if they're willing, she actually lies on their chest facing them until that energy is cleared. And at the point that I feel the point that she's just about to go, because I feel it clearing in the client. So we're a bit of a double act when it comes to Reiki. So she's going to have her own little session today, and it's already starting. So quite often I've already got Reiki flowing. So it's no different to if you were working with a client. These are little signs that she's it's already coming through for her. So same as if you're working with yourself or working with a client, you're going to call in the energy as you would do. So you're calling in all Reiki masters, past, present and future, in particular Dr. Yushui, Dr. Hayashi and Madam Takata. And you're asking Reiki to channel through you and to pass that on to the animal that you're working with. Hello. And quite often what you'll find with animals is, because they haven't developed filters like we do, they're not critical about what's going on. They just accept the energy. Oh, here we go. When Reiki flows, the animals start calling. We've got Mr. Moo here. There we go.
This is Claude.
This is Claudie. Claudie.
He's somewhat bigger than
Giant cat.
he's a
Beautiful.
Norwegian forest cat, but he's come down. He was he's just tuned into it, haven't you?
Beautiful.
Come on, you, because if he will. We might hang around. Well, I'll hang around with him.
Yeah, well, you can do Reiki on him over there.
I think he wants his dinner first.
So quite often when you're opening up to Reiki, if an animal in your house wants it, then you generally find that they're sitting on your lap or they're coming in close to you. So, and it doesn't take anywhere near as long with an animal as it does with humans, simply because they're not questioning what's going on. They're not in their minds. They just accept it. They just accept the Reiki. So you can see from the screen where the points are. Now, if you've got an animal that's he's doing a whole stretching down here. If you have an animal that's experiencing Reiki for the first time, what I would suggest is that you gently stroke their heads, you know, as though you're greeting them in a normal way. So if it's your animal, you'll know how they like to be greeted. If it's a friend's animal, then just ask which is the best way to approach them.
We've got this here.
So, and you can hold them. You can, if they're on the floor, you might want to approach them there. Just see what feels right. There's no hard and fast rule, especially with animals and especially with kids as well. You know, they will accept it. So, you know, if they're wanting any Reiki, they'll come close to you. So your signs that that they're receiving it is they often become quite calm. When they're finished with their treatment, they'll want to move. So they'll get fidgety and they'll want to go. But quite often as well, you have yawning going on. They're releasing from their chakras, and you get lots of licks and grooming and all of that goes on. So Phoebe's a little bit distracted at the minute. She's watching Claude have his Reiki session on the floor. So we've got, I'll show you here, we've got Reiki going on down here. Can you see Claude? So he's having his little session. There we go. Are you settling in again now? Yeah, good girl. Yeah. And you can just start working your way down. You can work through the points, but again, you can put in the intent as well that Reiki is going to find where it needs to go to. So you can stroke, you can hold the various points. You can work your way down, or you can hold the neck and also the base of the spine as well. Oh, you're liking that one, aren't you? So they just love it. They'll just, you know, and then when they're done, they'll let you know. They'll get fidgety. They'll want to leave, but you generally get lots of talking with them as well. They'll be giving you lots of looks and licks and sending you lots of appreciation. You ready to go? She's got some distractions going on. Claude's eating his food now. And as you can see, you've got all of the points for the dogs. You've got the points there for the cats and also for the horses. And Reiki 1, remembering, is hands-on. And you get the distance symbol with 2nd degree Reiki. More yawns. Oh, no, bit more. She'd sit here all day. Use zonked now.
Should we just take her back?
Sorry.
Calamity.
Minor explosion, all good.
So that's just to give you a quick demonstration of the points and basically what to do. It's really simple with animals. They don't have any questions. They just love it. They just accept it, and then when they're done, they're off. Ready to go?
Nikki, do you set an intent for each animal according to what you think their needs are, or do you just say for their highest good?
I generally say for their highest good, because what often happens with animal Reiki is, especially if it's behavioural, it's a reflection of the owners. So quite often at the same time, I'm glad you raised that actually, because quite often at the same time that I'm working with an animal, I will then be sending out Reiki to everybody within the family as well.
Yeah.
So I'm also working on that level, but that's more your master. We'll talk more about that in the master degree. But yeah, and I mean, if it's a physical problem, then if the animal will allow you to, place your hand actually over the injury or where the pain is. But again, you'll get guided in the same way, you know, with yourself, Reiki, or working with clients. Your hands are always guided to where they need to go to. If it's emotional, then you're working with your second degree symbols. And then if it's karmic, because of course animals can come into your life to clear any karma, any past karmic patterns. Ooh, there we go. Off you go. Then that's your master, your Daikamio symbols. So any questions? Oh, look, I shouldn't have worn a black top, should I, with a white dog? Any questions about animal Reiki? No? Cool.
So with a person, in the manual it's saying, I think it was saying about how you should try and do Reiki for an intense problem, like in consecutive days for, was it 4 days in a row, or I can't remember what it said exactly. But with an animal, do they take more energy in the one treatment, or would you have to do it like day after day, or what would you recommend?
I would always check with the Reiki. I would always check with your gut on that. So just be asking the question, you know, is more needed? And really, really kind of home into your heart. What you can do is, this is a shamanic practice. So if you hold your heart, so your brain is dual. So you've got your left and your right brain. But when you come to your heart, you've got as many brain cells, memory cells in your heart as you do in your brain. Or they found, sorry, maybe not as many, but they found memory cells in your heart as well as in your brain. But it's with the heart, it's unified. There's only one, so there isn't a polar opposite going on. So if ever you want to ask a question about where you're going next, how many days, how long the treatment should be for, is it once this week, twice this week? If it's twice this week, is it 2 consecutive days and then leave it a week? So you can ask multiple questions, get some, you know, really clear answers. But if you hold your hand on your heart like that and ask the question, it removes your mind from the you know, the equation. So wherever you touch a body part, you're actually, I know this from my kinesiology practice, you actually then are connecting directly with that muscle. So putting the intent and actually touching the heart and asking the heart the question will give you a stronger answer than going into your mind, is this the right thing to do? Or does anybody know muscle testing? No? You can muscle test as well. So you could do this on other people or, you know, clients, not so much an animal. But if you have, Helen, can I borrow you a second? There's a way that you can do this. You can do it with your fingers like that. So you're putting your thumb and your little finger together, and with your index finger and your thumb, you can ask a question. So give me a yes, give me a no, and you'll be able to either prise your thumbs apart or not. So you find out which one is yes and which one is no first, and then you can just start asking questions. So am I doing 1 session this week, 2 sessions this week, 3 sessions this week? So it's no more than 2, no more than 2. Phoebe actually wants 2 more this week. And the other way that you can do this as well is if I demonstrate on Helen, if Helen places her arms, you always got to be careful that somebody doesn't have a problem with their shoulders or across the top of their back. But if Helen puts her arms out at a 90-degree angle, actually slightly less, and what she's doing is she's pushing her energy against me. So it's almost as though, and I'm pressing down, so it's almost like the feeling is the sensation that you get when you're driving your car and you're on the clutch. So you're at that bite point where the car isn't going, but you know that if you put a little bit more pressure on, or pull more pressure off, then the car's going to release. So it's trying to get to that point where we're both at exactly the same point. So now our energy is matched. Helen isn't going any more than I am. So if I were to ask Helen some questions, do you want some Reiki questions?
I could do.
Okay. So I'm just going to ask, is it appropriate for me to give Helen a treatment this week? Yes.
Ooh, good for me.
What day are we on now? Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the optimum day for treatment for Helen is actually, is it 1 treatment this week? 2 treatments this week? 2 this week, she wants. And the optimum days are Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Friday and Monday. There we go. Good. Okay. So there's a few ways that you can check, but if you need a little bit of practice with the muscle testing, or like I say, go to your heart, question the heart. Is that useful?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so other uses. I'll talk to you a little bit about my experiences with these. So business. I have a friend who has a salon in a place up north, and she was concerned that I was leaving because I was actually working there, and she said to me, oh, what am I going to do? You know, you've been doing all this Reiki and I've had lots of people coming in and you're leaving. I could do with some extra clients myself. So I said, well, hand me your diary. She went, what do you mean? I said, well, I'll Reiki your diary. And when you put Chokure and also Honsha Seisho Nen, you can attract, with the intent to attract clients, you can attract more clients into your books, into your diary. She didn't believe me until she had numerous new clients the following week. So that's a handy little tip for attracting people to your business. And also when you put out information, or if you're putting out an advert or anything like that, put Daikamiyo onto, not Daikamiyo, Honsha Seisho Nen, to then attract people to the advert. So you kind of encode it with that symbol. So that's in the 2nd degree that you learn that one. Same with documents. If you want a positive outcome from legal documents or anything like that, you can be Reiki in your documents. Also, you've got distance healing as well. So you can begin to help other people. You know, we're on a magnetic grid, on an energetic grid. So there's nothing to stop you from healing, you know, sending healing down into the earth, into Gaia, and for the intent for it to link up with the energetic grid to support what's going on the planet at the minute. Your car, you can use the steering wheel of your car as like a surrogate, so that you can protect the car and yourself while you're driving it. So when you're traveling, you can keep reinforcing and putting your protection symbols in. So chakra is your protection symbol. You've also got healing for past and future situations. So when I'm saying about healing past situations, the most powerful that I've ever experienced is when I actually imagine myself at that age that something negative happened to me, and healing it as that person at that time. So I'm not going back as I am now. So I'm not going back as 46-year-old Nick to a 20-year-old trauma. I'm actually healing it as a 20-year-old. And same with future situations. If you know that you're going to go for a job interview or exam or something like that, that you're feeling a little bit anxious about, you can then take yourself to that situation. If you know where you're going to be having the interview, especially, or, you know, the exam, or, you know, wherever it is, and you can set the room up beforehand with a calming energy. Again, we're getting into second degree with this, but you can set the whole intent that it's going to be a calming environment and that you're going to work to your optimum. Because of course you can't guarantee that you're going to get the job, but you can support yourself with working, you know, at your optimum. It might not be right, it might not be in your soul's agreement that you're going to get that job, so you also have to be mindful of that, but there's nothing to stop you from feeling comfortable in that situation. Chag food, Jenny, I used to Reiki, I don't know whether I told you this, but I used to Reiki all the food at Chag food before it went out.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
Jenny and I worked at community gardens, and as we were packing them, what I would do is I'd put Reiki symbols into my hands with the intent that everything that I touched and all of the boxes that I touched, which throughout the whole day, I think there was 146 of them, I think, or 150 odd, that every single one of those would receive Reiki. And that's to boost its nutritional content, and also for whoever's eating that food to receive healing from that food. So before you're going and planting any seeds, you can Reiki your seeds, again, to get your best harvest. So it's about putting these intents in. Trees, nature, anything like that. Also accidents, what I often find is if I've encountered or haven't even got to an accident spot yet, quite often my hands start to heat up. So whenever I'm stuck in traffic, suddenly my hands start getting hot and my neck gets hot, because that's where I know that it's Reiki, those 2 points there. Quite often you'll be driving past an accident, so I'm always sending, well, it automatically is switched on, it comes out of me anyway, but you can Reiki accidents. So if you see anybody in trouble on the motorway, or, you know, wherever you are, you can send them Reiki. Again, we're talking distance symbols, second degree. You can Reiki your water, so whether that's your drinking water, your shower water, your bath water, again, to make sure that it is its purest form at the point that it hits your body, or the purest form that it's been ingested. And also your food. So honouring, you know, all of the animals, all the plants, nuts, seeds, fruits, they all have a soul, you know, so it's about nurturing every single spirit. Everybody, everything that is on this planet has a contract. It holds a spirit. If you speak to any Native American, Aborigine, you know, any of the indigenous cultures, they all talk about the spirit that's within the animal, within the tree, within the plant, within the rocks, you know, within the sky, within the earth. So it's about honouring that. So whenever you're eating any food, before you start to eat, you know, Reiki, or before you start to prepare it, you can Reiki all of your food as well, just to thank, you know, and release the spirit of what's being held in that food. And also for you to gain the most nutrition from it. You know, you're thanking it for you know, without food and without water, you know, we would perish. So it's been there, it's been brought to us for a reason, and for us to survive. So it's about nurturing, you know, our bodies and being grateful and honouring that spirit that's given us that. So that's a few little quirkies. I think there's quite a bit more in the manual actually. So there's a bit more information, but just to give you a little insight into a little bit more into intents and also what you can use it for. But Reiki can be used for anything. If your imagination, if you can imagine it, you can Reiki it, because it's all part of the universal energy. So it's all in this field of unlimited possibilities. So if you can imagine it, it is a possibility that it can happen. It can come into physical form. So that's my golden rule really about Reiki and other things. Any questions? No? Okay, cool. So group Reiki, this is where, as a master, and actually I'm going to be starting sessions on a Wednesday evening. Helen, myself and another Reiki master, we work together, and we do this privately for our own benefit, you know, helping each other out as masters and you know, raising our own vibration by clearing out any negativity that's within us. You know, to be a you know, a solid Reiki master, you need to be clearing your energy all the time, making sure that you're on top of your awareness and raising your consciousness. And I was thinking about this today, about somebody had asked me about, you know, what's enlightenment? How do I see that? And I think a lot of people think that to be enlightened, you have to be flawless, you know, saint-like. But actually for me, and you know, this might be different for other people, but for me, certainly, it's about recognizing your flaws, and it's about accepting them and taking full responsibility for them, and, you know, doing whatever is within your power to help you release that. And this for me is what Reiki is all about. It's the guide, it's what helps us to see beyond the veil, what helps us to see beyond our ego. And so the group that myself, Helen and Joe actually do, it's our own support network. But on Wednesday evenings at 8:08, I wanted to invite, or we want to invite other people to our master group sessions. There's nothing formal about it. It's not going to be on Zoom. It's just a simple connecting, think about myself or Helen, and that you'd like Reiki from us. And that's at 8:08 every Wednesday. So it's simply just sitting quietly, maybe have some music on, have some candles burning, maybe a bit of incense if you want to. Just check that you know, you're not going to be disturbed at any point, and just sit quietly and receive the Reiki. Just say that you're open to receiving Reiki from us. And we've been doing this for 18 months now. Yeah, 8th of August 2019, wasn't it? So yeah, we've been doing it a little while within our little group. So you're more than welcome to join that. But like I said, there's nothing official. It won't go on Facebook or anything like that. Well, I might advertise it, you know, on our page, but for other people to join it. But I'm not doing a whole blitz on it. So when you're doing group Reiki for first degree, it's remembering it's hands-on. So you need to have people who are actually present in the room. So you can work with a whole group of people. So with like I said in the last session, it's about 45 minutes to do a self Reiki or a Reiki treatment if you've got first degree. And that's because the frequency of the energy that's coming through isn't as high as if it were in second degree or master. You haven't got the sacred symbols at that point. So it's all hands-on, but actually if you've got a few people working on one person, that can actually speed up the process. So you can have one person working at the top end, another person working at the bottom end. You can have people working on the front at the same time that people are working on the back. So you can actually speed up the process. And it also heightens the energy when you're working in a group as well. It's a combined effort. And then when you get into second degree, this is when you can start doing distance healing. So how I set my healing circle up is I imagine that I'm in the center and that everybody that I'm working with is around me. And I imagine that I have energies, strings of energy going out to each of the person, each person that I'm working with. And that if they're willing to receive Reiki, they can get that through that energy line, but also be exceptionally clear at the end of the session. Again, this is second degree, but at the end of the session, be absolutely clear that everybody is disconnected. And in the second degree, I'll show you a symbol that you can use to actually disconnect from your clients. So any questions about group work?
Before you send out the Reiki, do you actively ground yourself, or do you just naturally do that?
I naturally do that now, but that's because first thing in the morning, I make sure that I do a whole load of grounding before I even leave the house. So my routine in the morning is generally anywhere between about half an hour to an hour, just to get me prepped for my day. But yeah, I would certainly say you need to ground. You need to make sure that you're calling in and asking for support. So whoever it is that you work with, I mean, even if it is just Reiki masters, past, present and future, Dr. Yushui, Dr. Hayashi, Madam Takata, but everybody has their own practice. So what you find with Reiki as the energy starts to flow, you will have other streams of consciousness that will come to you. So you have energies from the angelic realm, you have ascended masters can come to you. So if anybody's showing themselves to you, there's a simple exercise that you can do, and it's the children's ring of fire. And if you imagine that you have a violet flame, a fire flame all the way around you, and the people who can come into that flame, into your circle beyond that flame, are people who honor the children's fire. And if you say that 3 times, basically what you're saying is, I honor my child within me. And if you don't honor my child or your own child, then I don't want you in my space. And it's kind of a little bit of an exercise to discern from what energies are working in your highest and best interest. So be really clear to call in only those who are there to support you in a positive way in your highest and best interest. And you can even extend that by saying on all levels, all times, and all dimensions. Because what may be good for you now might not be good for you in the future or in the past. We're in many time scales all at the same time. Does that answer your question, Davina?
Thank you. I'm just writing it down there. Only those who are there to support me in my highest...
highest good or highest and best interest.
Highest good, best interest. Thank you. I've got the last bit as well. Thank you.
You're welcome. This is all good learning for me. It's all flowing back. Mm-hmm. Generally, I've got flip charts and I've got, people in front of me, and they're normally like a day long of these courses. So, there's plenty of time for things to come up. So, treating others. So we've looked last week at self-Reiki. And obviously, generally when you're doing that, you're on your own, you've created your sacred space. But when you start working with other people, there are quite a few things to think about. So hygiene is one of them. If you are a smoker, for example, it's making sure that you're not bringing the smell of that smoke into that environment. because when you're working with other people, you're also working with their experiences of certain smells. Now, Reiki can intensify smells as you're having a treatment. It can make you extremely sensitive. So if you just, come from your cigarette break, in between, working with anybody, if you're doing this professionally, or if you've got a friend and you've just nipped out and had a quick fag and then come back in again, just be aware that you're bringing that into their environment, and they may be sensitive to that smell. Same with having, extremely spicy food the night before. If you're, stinking of garlic, just make sure that people like the smell of garlic that you're working with, because it, to me, I love garlic, and I apologize, I always stink of it unless I'm working with clients, which hasn't been for a while now because of lockdown. But just be mindful that you're working in really close proximity with people. You're generally in a confined space as well, so just be mindful of your hygiene. And also set the scene as well. So what you would want for yourself, that quiet space, that time, that sacred space, the nice smells, the incense sticks, oils burning, whatever you choose, it's to create that space so that whoever you're working with can really relax into that. And also set the agreement with first degree Reiki. It's not a professional certificate. You can't get insurance with this. So we don't charge for first degree. This is literally limited to friends, family, yourself, your own personal pets. But set an agreement, because this is your time, and it's not your energy, but it's your effort and it's your time going into this. So it's really important to value yourself. So think about setting any agreements that you need to. Is this a time scale? Is there is there a sense of well-being that you get from working with somebody for free? That might be your agreement. So for me, I'm running these courses at the moment, and this is a really great help for me to just get back into my teaching mode, bring up different ideas that have kind of gone back into the archives. And so that's why I'm running these courses for free at the minute, because it's getting me back into my rhythm. So that's my contract with you guys. You get this free because I'm learning from it as well. So be really clear about what your agreement is that you're setting up, because that is, whatever your intent is, whatever your agreements are, you always create a karmic connection with that. So be really careful and check your motivations when you're setting up, working with somebody. Is this for self-validation, or is it genuinely to be learning and experiencing this, for the first time? And there will be initially, a little bit of validation that's needed, because this is new. It's something that you're beginning to learn, but very quickly I will be looking for you to lose that validation and trust your own experience of it, and trust other people's experience of it as well. Be clearly asking for feedback. How is that feeling for you? What experience did you get out of that? And then follow them up, a week later, a couple of weeks later, because Reiki can take its time to filter through. It can change mindsets, it can change attitudes as well as physical problems. So, when you get talking in conversations with people, just find out what's actually happening for them in their lives. And what the impact has been. And that might be your agreement. I'll give you free Reiki if you give me some feedback. But it's being really clear about what your agreement is. And then also explain to them what's going to happen. So you're looking at timescales, making sure that, they're comfortable with that. A little bit about the sensations that they may feel. But I wouldn't go overboard, because you don't want to give too much away as to what's going to happen to them. We want it to be organic for them. We want it to be their own experience, rather than, ideas being impressed on them. And also check for any contraindications. Now, as I said, I think on the first session, there are only 2 that we work closely with or can't work with. And that is if somebody's fitted with a pacemaker, purely because we're working with electrical charge, energy, and also if somebody has insulin-based diabetes, they need to be really careful. Now, it's not to say that you can't work with somebody who's dependent on insulin, but they have to be really careful, and they have to make sure that they're doing their testing regularly, 2, 3, 4 times a day, depending on, you know, how severe it is for them, and that they need to be on top of that as well. And then give them a get out. And what I mean by that is, this can sometimes bring up deep emotional traumas for people. Sometimes traumas can be buried so deeply that, you know, people have forgotten about them, or they've managed to learn some kind of defense, you know, mechanism for burying something and hiding that away. So if at any point somebody that you're working with feels uncomfortable, you know, make it clear to them at any point that they can stop. You know, they don't have to stay in this energy if they don't want to. Just like the animals, you know, when the animals are done, they'll walk away, they'll leave. So, you know, give your clients or whoever you're working with, your friends and family members, that you know, get out clause, and let them know that it's okay. We talked in the first week about how our chakras release. You know, it's okay to be burping and, you know, crying and all of the other things that go on with the body when we're releasing. So, you know, just be mindful that this may be their first experience of Reiki, and just tell them that it's okay. You know, whatever comes out of the body, that's absolutely fine. You know, you're not embarrassed, so there's no reason for them to be embarrassed. And make sure that they're comfortable. So with that, I'm meaning, you know, if it's difficult for somebody to be sitting up for a long period of time, you might want to lay them down. You may want to get a couch, or make them comfortable on the floor. You can get foam mattresses as well. But what I would also say as well is make sure that you're comfortable with that. So if you are leaning over somebody, first degree Reiki, we're talking about 45 minutes. So be really mindful that you're going to be there for 45 minutes. So if you're working with somebody who's going to be laid down, is it comfortable for you at the height of your bed? Or is it going to be comfortable for you to be working with somebody that's laid on the floor? Just be mindful of your back, and your arms and your shoulders. So to be seated or not to be seated, couple of different ways. You can get all types of different, you know, massage couches, or you know, massage chairs. I like the massage chairs. You can work on both front and back at the same time as if you're working in a chair. So you can speed the process up that way if you want to. And again, it's down to whether somebody can actually stay seated for that length of time. But what I would say is, now that you're all starting to have a little practice on yourselves, if anybody is going to go on to do the second degree and the master, I know Bev, you've already qualified, yay! And Calamity, I know you're going to be doing second degree and Reiki as well, second degree and master, and so is Michelle as well. You know, set yourselves up on a buddy system. You're all working together as a group. You've all gone through the same training, so you know what to expect. So, you know, put it up on the Reiki training group, the support group, that you fancy doing a bit of distance healing. Is anybody up for a session? And use people within the group. You know, let's all practice on ourselves. The more practice that you can get, the stronger the Reiki is going to be for you. This is experiential, so it is really about experiencing this, not just learning it in the mind. And if you haven't had a Reiki treatment, the best way to explain it is go and have one. I've met so many people, I've had so many people on my classes that actually come to do Reiki because they're really curious about it, but have never had a treatment until that point that we're actually doing the Reiki sessions throughout the courses. So yeah, go and have a treatment. Has everybody had Reiki?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Never had it as a proper treatment. I've had it as part of a massage, but it was like a holistic massage.
Yeah.
I've never had just a straight Reiki session.
Oh.
I have sent and received between people.
Yeah.
before.
And what was your experience of it?
It was good. It was really interesting when I was doing my training that they were able to give me feedback on certain things.
Yeah.
Or certain things that came up, and I was like, oh, actually, yeah, that does. And yeah, different experiences, but that was all distant. So I've never actually had it like a hands-on treatment.
Yeah. There we go. Once we're out of COVID.
Yeah.
If we get out of COVID.
I know.
And Bev, you had your attunement this last week, 11th of the 11th. 11th of the 1st at 11 minutes past 11. Do you want to share your experience, Bev? Or are you just muted at the minute?
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear me now. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really amazing. The preparation for it was lovely. So I made sure that I followed, the guidelines, and it was nice because I managed to have a lovely meditation before the time. So I was really properly chilled out, and I was lying very comfortably. And I didn't actually have my eye on the clock, so I couldn't have told you when it was 11:11. But I knew, because it was like suddenly somebody plugged me in. The only way I can explain that was like I suddenly felt like my hearing became really sensitive, and it was just like something just went wow like that. And I went, oh. And it's almost like a bodily jerk as well. I could actually feel an energy, most definitely. And it was lovely because at some point, very early on, it's like I'm looking at you now, and you were there. You were right. Obviously my eyes were closed, but there I could see your face, and I could see you talking to me. I could see you and hear you, just for a split second, but I knew that it was you there. So it was quite amazing. I could feel the energy going through my chakras as well, traveling up the body. And it was amazing because I knew that I'd gotten to the third eye, because it was almost like afterwards I had to double check the weather, because it was almost like there'd been a bright flash of sunlight in my room, and there hadn't, not at all. It was just all there in my third eye. So it was a really amazing experience, and like I said, my hands and my feet were just tingling. It's marvelous. And afterwards, it took me a while to come down because I was buzzing. I was very chilled out and very calm, but I was buzzing. It was such a positive experience. Yeah, it was magical.
And actually, with your Reiki master, you also get to learn how to attune other people. So when you start reading that section, it is actually a master teacher course. But when you get to reach that section of the manual where you're saying that you saw me in front of you, you'll understand when you get to that bit and read it.
Okay, lovely. Look forward to it.
I love about Reiki, it's about experiencing it first and foremost, and then when you read it afterwards and you get that validation, it's like, oh wow, there it is, there's the answer. But I love when people experience it first and then get the information afterwards. I always find that that's the best way, because with Reiki, it's a form of intelligence that we can't even, what's the word, comprehend. I don't have words for it. What I experience, I don't actually have words for it. I have no language for it. So to be able to experience it and then start reading up about it afterwards is that's to me is the real true gift. I've just had another experience this week. It never stops. It never stops. I've been doing this for a lot of years now, and you know, the revelations and the epiphanies and, you know, all of the pieces of the puzzle just coming together, they never stop. And that's the delight about it. It lights you up, and you see things from a different perspective, and, you know, looking at all different aspects of the physical, the emotional, the behavioral, you know, how you deal with things, the endless possibilities, you know, that you can get from this. I mean, when I look at my life pre-Reiki to where it is now, it's poles apart. It really is poles apart. My experience of life and expectations of life as well have completely changed. So it is, you know, I love it. It is love. It's, you know, it's the energy of love. So that's all I've got to say about it, really, because I have no words. I'm in love with Reiki. So as I said, the next steps are second degree and master / you know, teacher training. What I would say is, if anybody really is interested in learning more about the business side or the teacher side, if you want me to, I will run a separate course on that. Because even though the manuals and the videos go a little bit into the business side, it's not enough for my liking. So if you want me to run a separate course, and you want me to run a course where I teach you how to do attunements as well, and the process and running through that with you, I will run that separately. If you just drop me a line and let me know. If there's a call for it, then I'll do it. So the second degree course starts on the 26th. That runs through it'll be 6 weeks. I'm looking probably for the first 4 weeks to be taken up with the second degree Reiki, because there's quite a few symbols that come with the second degree, and then the master course maybe a couple of weeks. And then if you're more drawn towards the chakra group that I was mentioning, that starts on the 31st, and that is a weekly meetup. So it'll be an hour, and we'll do about 40 minutes talking about each chakra each week. So we'll go through the attributes of each of the chakras. We'll look at the physical side of it, the emotional side of it, the behavioral side. We'll look at all the different associations with it. So the elements, the planetary alignments, it's endless. But that starts on the 31st, and that is a subscription service. So it's a weekly subscription for an hour a week. It's £25 a month. It just takes it once a month. And we just go week by week through each of the chakras, and then we'll come back to the beginning, and then we'll take the next level of whatever it is that we're going to be working on. So first run through, I would imagine it's going to be more on a physical basis, then it'll go through the emotional realms, then it'll go through the behavioral, and there'll probably be other bits involved in that. But then there'll also be a Reiki meditation as well. So by 8 minutes past 8, because I work with the infinity symbol quite a lot with my Reiki. We always do our 8 minutes past 8. So that'll be every Sunday that we'll be doing that. So 40 minutes talk and chat and learning basically. And then 20 minutes will be the Reiki meditation, and at that point you can leave the group and stay in the meditation as long as you want to. So if you're happy to stay there, and all of those you get on the Souls Education website. If you go to Get Started, you can register for those there. And Bev, what I'll do is I'll send you details of how you can set your account up for the weekly chakra course.
Okay, lovely, thank you.
Okay, so that's it, I'm afraid, for your first degree Reiki training. How's everybody feeling?
Fabulous.
inspired to go and do a whole load of Reiki on yourself and all your mates and your cats and your dogs and your horses and
Just about, yeah.
Jenny will be Reiki and Chag food.
Yeah, maybe. No, very so dozy tonight. Can't keep my eyes open.
Yeah, there's certainly going on with planetary alignments. Every single one of us, actually. How are you feeling, Davina?
Yeah, good. Yeah, tired though. I woke up feeling tired. I haven't really shaken out of it today. So.
Yeah, every single one of us. Have you, Calamity?
Yeah, no, exhausted.
Yeah.
Really tired.
Yeah. What I will say with Reiki is when you work with it on a regular basis, it really fine-tunes you. So you do pick up on things that are going on around you. It kind of makes you almost clairsentient, clairvoyant, to a certain degree. You are very sensitive to other people's auras, planetary alignments. But what I would always say as well is you have a choice as to whether you take that on or not. So the more Reiki you do, the more you will experience yourself. So the stronger you are in yourself, that's the best grounding that you can ever have, being completely rooted in who you are. And like I've said in one of the previous sessions, there's the human design course for free on there as well on the website. So go on there and have a look at what energy type you are, because there's a whole load of strategies about how you can really bring yourself into alignment and work with your own specific energy. You're unique. There's nobody else like you on the planet. So learn about who you are as a unique person. So any questions before we end? No? Well, have a fantastic week. I will see everybody next week who's joining me for the second degree, and any questions, just ping them over to me by email, phone, whatever, and hopefully I will see you all in the near future.
Yeah.
Oh, 8:08 tomorrow night. Yes, Wednesday, 8:08 tomorrow night. Join us for that.
Wednesday.
Wonderful.
See you later.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.